boys and girls watching today, I want to talk to you and to you guys right here about something that is my favorite thing to eat. So sit up straight and tall, hands in your lap and eyes up here, because I want to talk to you about something so delicious. It is one of my favorite foods to eat. But I want to talk to you about the man who discovered it. There are some very special men in history that discovered some very important things. Remember, we talked about Edison, and we've talked about lots of other inventors. And so today I want to talk to you about this man. This is just a painting of this man, and his name is George Washington Carver. Say that with me. George Washington Carver. Now, when George Washington Carver was a little boy, he learned to read. He learned to read, and he wanted to learn all about things like science. He wanted to learn a lot about plants and flowers and how things grow, and he became really, really, really good at it. And he would go outside, instead of playing with toys, he would go outside and he would have his own garden. Maybe you have your own garden that mommy has helped you with, or daddy, and you've gotten to plant your own seeds and things like this. Well, he did the same thing. He had his own garden, and he got so good at it that people would come to him if they had questions about their garden. If they had a plant problem, if there was something wrong with their plant, they would go to George Washington Carver and ask him questions. They started to call George Washington Carver the plant doctor. Now, if you have a plant at your house and it was kind of sick, mommy might say, oh, I think my plant is sick, we need to give it some water. Would she put it in the car, put a seatbelt on it, and take it to a doctor? No, that's not what you would do with a plant. But back then, people would go to George Washington Carver and call him the plant doctor because he just knew so much about plants. Well, because he was so smart and because he worked so hard at learning and reading, and that's what he wanted to do, he wanted to listen. When he was in school, he would listen. And he would work hard and he would read and learn all that he could read, that he got so smart that after he went to kindergarten, which you're going to do, and then first grade and second grade and third grade and fourth grade and fifth grade and sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade, ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, when he graduated high school, he went to college. You're going to do that. You're going to go to college and you're going to decide what God wants you to do. Maybe, Jonathan, you will be a doctor. Maybe you'll be a teacher like your daddy. Maybe you will be somebody who works in an office. Maybe you will work on telephone poles. Maybe you will be a missionary. You don't know what God has for you yet. But George Washington Carver went to college and he worked really hard, and people knew that he was a hard worker, and he started to do things like experiments. Experiments are things that people, when you try things and maybe you mix things together, or you try to do things and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and you just keep trying and trying and trying things out. And George Washington Carver was known as somebody who worked hard. Well, there was a man who was at this college named Booker T. Washington. Say that. Booker T. Washington, and he heard about George Washington Carver, and they worked together to do some of these experiments. Well, George Washington Carver discovered the peanut plant. The peanut plant, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. God had made this wonderful plant called the peanut plant, and George Washington Carver started to study more and more about the peanut plant, and he thought, I could do more things probably with the peanuts. So let me show you. This is a peanut right here. Do you see it? Do you see that? This is a peanut, and this is the shell, this hard part right here. Now, I have one in here that doesn't have, this is part of the shell. It doesn't have the peanut in it. See? It's kind of little. Maybe you can see that. And this is what it looks like without the peanuts in it. And do you know that the peanuts grow down inside the soil? The soil is the dirt. The soil is the dirt. So most nuts, when you see them, they grow on trees. But the peanut will grow on this bush, this plant, and you won't see it. It's down inside of the soil, and you have to dig down into the soil and get the peanut out. And then you get the peanut out, and some people, now you're not really supposed to chew on the peanut, this part, but some people put it in their mouth to crack it. But you can crack it with your fingers, see, like that. And then you open it up. Let me see if I can get it so you can see. And then inside is the nuts. See that? And then you open it up. Let me open it up for you so you can see. Inside is the nut. And so this is the shell. And then there's this casing right here, this special casing that's around it. And then here is, let me see if I can hold up the nut for you, the peanut. And this is the part that you eat. Isn't that yummy? Well, George Washington Carver discovered all kinds of things that you could do with the peanut. One of my favorite things is that he discovered that if you crush it up really, really small, you chop up those nuts really, really small, and you mix oil with it, it'll become something yummy that you can spread on a piece of bread. What do you think is so yummy that spreads like butter on a piece of bread? What do you think it is?
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter. It is my favorite thing to eat. I love peanut butter. I love peanut butter and honey sandwiches. I love peanut butter on my bagel. I love peanut butter and chocolate. I am so glad that George Washington Carver discovered the peanut and what he could do with it. Look what else he could do with it. He discovered ways to use the peanut to make ink, the stuff that comes in a pen. Maybe mommy's letting you use a pen before to write with, to write letters with. Coffee, cheese you could use with a peanut. Oh, it's so yummy. Soap and special milk. And those are all things that we can do with nuts. Now, if you're allergic to nuts, you can't eat them. And that is sad if you can't touch them. But if you can ask Mommy, can we get some peanut butter? And did you know that George Washington Carver discovered how to use the peanut and ways that we can make it? Nobody else had ever thought to crush it up and to put oil with it to make peanut butter. I am so glad that he found that and that we can eat peanut butter today. There's lots of things that we could eat. So it's so exciting that you could go find or even plant that plant, and then you could go into the soil after it starts to grow, find the pod. This is the pod, this part right here. And then that little brown part is the shell, and then you could eat your peanut. You could eat it just like this, or you could crush it up and put that oil with it to make peanut butter, or you can do all kinds of things with it. You can put it in your cookies or your brownies, or you could just eat it all by itself, just in a little bowl. You could eat peanuts. But I'm so glad that George Washington didn't give up. He didn't when he was doing those experiments, he didn't just go, oh, this is not working, I can't do it. No, he kept working at it and working at it and working at it. And when you try to do something and it doesn't work the first time, don't give up. Think of George Washington Carver and how he kept working at it and working at it. And now we have so many things that we can do with the peanut. Oh, boys and girls watching, if you're not allergic to it, maybe you can eat something with peanuts today. That would be so yummy.